Measuring distance using a graphical scale on a topographic map. This is the typical graphical scale. Actually, it's a set of several map scales at the bottom of a USGS map. These are usually found at the center of the bottom underneath the map. You can see part of the map up the top here. And it has several sections. First, it has the fractional scale. In this case, 1 to 24,000. What that means is 1 centimeter on the map is worth 24,000 centimeters in the real world. In other words, the map is 1/24,000th of the world. Or, easier way to put it, the world is 24,000 times larger than this map. That's why we're able to carry it around. This also has a graphical scale. It has it in miles, feet, and kilometers. And then it has the contour interval, very useful if you're trying to determine the elevation of a specific location, like Flagstaff Mountain, for instance. Contour interval 40 feet means that the elevation change between each line is 40 feet. Now, in this class, we use kilometers, since that's part of the metric system, instead of feet or miles. So let's try an example. First, though, you need to realize that this does not have 0 on the end, like a normal ruler does, but it's in the center. You notice also that to the right are whole numbers, and to the left, it's broken into pieces. In this case, it's broken into 10 little pieces, so it's 1/10 of a kilometer for each section. This is going to be very important later when we're doing the measuring. So here's an example. We're trying to find the distance from point A on Green Mountain to point B, the water tank. First, you're going to lay the edge of a piece of scratch paper on your map. Then, you're going to mark the center of your points on the scratch paper. Here's the center of point A, and there's the center of point B. You need to make sure you always get the center. If you just do it from the top of the A and the bottom of the B, or the right of the B, or the left of the A, you're going to get very different results. Because remember, the world is 24,000 times bigger than this map. So a small difference on the map is a big difference in the real world. So you always measure from the center of the given points. So you're going to lay the edge of your marked scratch paper on the scale, with the first mark against the 0 on the scale, just as I've done here. Then you're going to measure to the end of your scale and mark it. I would in fact mark it and label it as 1 kilometer. That is the distance from 0 to here. But we've got something left over, and we need to measure that as well. So we're going to slide the paper down so the 1 kilometer mark on your scratch paper hits the 0 on the scale. We already know this is 1 kilometer, and we've got something left over. But it doesn't reach all the way to 1 kilometer. It's less than 1. So we want to find out exactly what it is to measure it accurately. And so we're going to measure this section on the left side of the scale where it's broken up into smaller pieces. You're going to slide the paper so that one of the marks ends up at 0. You already know this is 1 kilometer, and you're trying to measure this section. This section has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. Each section is worth 0.1, so it's 0.8 kilometers. So now you put it all together. On the left, this section is 1 kilometer. This section is 0.8 kilometers. Add that up, and the distance from A to B is 1.8 kilometers. Works the same way when you're measuring feet in another scale. For another example, so you lay the scratch paper with your first line against the 0. And here you notice that it doesn't go off the scale and that it hits pretty much perfectly on the 6,000. Therefore, the distance here from A to B translate as 6,000 feet. And that's how you determine distance. Just make sure you pay attention to what units you were asked for, because if you notice 6,000 is a very different number than 1.8. So you need to make sure you always include your units.